Today, I'm going to talk about science fiction, but specifically, what is science fiction? Well, that's not even right. How about what type of science fiction I enjoy and that we're going to present here on the Atomic Hideout? Welcome, space travelers, to Gentleman Spaceman's Atomic Hideout. I'm your host, Brad Grahowski, and this is a Hideout Real Talk session where I talk to you directly. I don't have a script. I don't have notes even this time. I just want to talk to you straight from my heart to you. The first time someone told me that Doctor Who is not science fiction, it hurt a little. It kind of blew my mind. I always thought of Doctor Who as science fiction, Star Wars, science fiction, Battlestar Galactica, science fiction. And it really kind of blew my mind to think that Doctor Who isn't science fiction. And the minute I started to think about it was the minute I realized that, in fact, it kind of isn't science fiction. Not by a technical definition, right? It's more magical fantasy than science fiction, couched in a lot of trappings of science fiction. Time travel, a time machine, a sonic screwdriver, aliens. But it's the spirit of science fiction still. Same thing with Star Wars. And I mentioned Battlestar Galactica. Although Battlestar Galactica is, if I think about it, maybe a little more on the science fiction side. But this is all space opera or science fantasy. But I still think of it all as science fiction. What do I like best of all? I like pulp sci-fi from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the mid-20th century, the mid-century, to go along with mid-century modern art and design and music. I feel like pulp sci-fi fits right into that. And I love the aesthetic. I love rocket ships with big fins. I love aliens with sucker tentacles. I love the idea of throwing actual science out the window and just going with what's exciting and what's interesting and what's fun. And pulp sci-fi is absolutely that. It's fun. And there's a lot of it. There's so much of it. And maybe that's one of the downsides or the negatives of pulp sci-fi is so much of it was produced that it just sort of became, diluted and oversaturated. But by today, when we're looking back at it as a lost or artwork from the past, we have to admit, it's nice to have, if you enjoy it, it's nice to have a lot of it. And we do. And so much of it, if not all of it, is now public domain. The Gutenberg Project has thousands of stories. It has a lot of the old anthologies, and in each anthology, you'll have a dozen stories. Pick through any one of them, and you're going to find a magical, fantastical, creative journey into the cosmos of the unknown. Time travel, aliens, planets, and that's what I love. Don't get me wrong. Hard sci-fi, fantastic. Some of my favorite TV shows. The Expanse, obviously one of my favorite TV shows. Hard science, not pulp science fiction. It's not science fantasy. It's not space opera. It's hard sci-fi, and it's so cool, and I really love it. If it's in outer space, if it has aliens, if it has time travel, I'm gonna like it. But pulp sci-fi is where my heart lies, and that's why that's what I really focus on a lot in the Atomic Hideout. I also want to make a confession, just to make something crystal clear. I am not an expert. I'm not a sci-fi expert. I don't know everything there is to know. I can't name every sci-fi author. I haven't read every sci-fi story, especially a lot of the later 70s into the 80s and the 90s, hard sci-fi, really good classic sci-fi. I haven't even read a lot of that. I have read quite a bit of it, but I haven't read it exhaustively. Because I would really rather pull up a PDF of amazing stories and read about a rock that gets sent around Mars and it essentially orbits Mars at ground level and then hits somebody from the back. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but it's so fun. We've got a story coming up it's an audio comic, is what I call it. I've taken an old comic book, comic story, and narrated it in sound design, and it makes no sense. It's called Trespasser in Time. I just finished production of it. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's kind of a dumb story if you think about it too hard, but if you let go of that and just enjoy the aesthetics of it and the bizarreness of it and the wonkiness of it and the fact that they were churning this stuff out, like, these authors in these pulp magazines were just putting out material. And thank God that they were, because it was out of that genre of sci-fi that we got some of the greatest science fiction writers of all time, who really sort of cut their teeth and got their start writing for these pulp sci-fi magazines, writing short stories and novellas and comic strips. So I think we owe pulp sci-fi a huge debt, in addition to the fact that I just love it. And I know it gets a bit of derision, I think. I think we still look at it as, oh, that old stuff that used to be super popular. Basically, it was bubblegum. It was lollipops. It was soda. It was cheap. It was candy. It was easy. It was accessible. It didn't take a lot of thought. It didn't push a lot of psychological or sociological thoughts or push any philosophical ideas, though sometimes it did. But that wasn't in the nature and the DNA of the genre. And so I think it did get short shrift. It was derided, but to look back at it now as an art form in itself, just the fact that it was as abundant as it was, and then it led to some of the greatest science fiction minds of the 20th century and now into the 21st century. Although I don't know if many of those, probably aren't many of the writers from the golden age of science fiction, of pulp sci-fi, writing today, if even alive today. So that's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to talk about. If you have any thoughts about the genre of science fiction and what is and what isn't science fiction, is pulp sci-fi sci-fi? Is Doctor Who science fiction? And I guess by a technical definition, it probably isn't. But the spirit of it certainly is. And if you watch it and you enjoy it and you just feel it, you feel the sci-fi-ness of it all, right? Even if it's superficial. So if you have thoughts about this, if you think pulp sci-fi is stupid and we should, I doubt you do, let us know. But if you love it, come on, man, hang out with us, because we're going to go on some wild, crazy rides in science fiction throughout throughout time, throughout the solar system, throughout the universe, throughout the cosmos. So hang out with us. We're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to enjoy it. And we're going to be doing it with a whole bunch of different formats. We'll have short stories narrated by myself and other narrators and voice actors and audiobook narrators. I love the real-time read aloud series that I started, where I'm just reading and you can follow along, and it's not edited. It's as I read it. And there's stories that I haven't read myself before, so you're hearing the story with me as I go. And I mean, to me, that's just super fun. It's super fun to have you along with me for that experience. We're doing audio dramas. We just launched our first audio drama, part 1 of LHS 114. We've got more continuation of that series. We've got other short audio dramas, both original and that I've written myself or that have been written by partners. So we just have so much coming up, and it's in the audio comics. I'm excited about that because I just finished producing the first one. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. a little bit about what is science fiction, but mostly about pulp sci-fi, why I love it so much, and why that's sort of what we're focusing on here in the Hideout. Thank you so much for joining me. Once again, my name is Brad Grahowski. I'm your host in the Gentleman Spaceman's Atomic Hideout. If you like what we're doing in the Hideout, as always, please like and subscribe. We're really trying to build a community of people who love science fiction from the classic age, who love pulp sci-fi, who love the golden age of science fiction. And we're really trying to find and bring people together who love that. So if that's you, join us because we're going to have a lot of fun. Awesome. Thank you so much, and journey well among the stars.